Charles Perry is a newly elected state senator from Lubbock, Texas, and he decided it was a good idea to talk about persecution against Christians by referencing Nazi Germany. Republicans can't help themselves. No matter what the conversation is, it always comes back to conservatives and or Christians are victims, just like slaves and or the Nazis. That's their typical format that they go through on any random Tuesday. They can't help themselves. So this guy said the following, quote, "There were 10,000 people that were paraded into a medical office at the concentration camp in Germany under the guise of a physical. As they stood with their back against the wall, they were executed with a bullet through the throat. Before they left, 10,000 people met their fate that way. It is not the same than when... Is that not the same, than when our government continues to perpetuate laws that lead citizens away from God? The only difference is that the fraud of the Germans was more immediate, and whereas the fraud of today's government will not be exposed until the final days and will have eternal, lasting effects." So, separation of church and state equals Nazism. This may be another level of stupid above the other Nazi comparisons and slavery comparisons that you hear from any old Republican. So you're calling Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, John Adams, George Washington, all of the founding fathers, Nazis. Because they're the ones that came up with that. They're the ones that put the Establishment Clause into the First Amendment. Okay, do you not understand that? That the government cannot establish a religion. It can't favor one religion over another religion or religion over non-religion. So Thomas Jefferson was the one who, in a letter, came up with the phrase separation of church and state. And you're saying that the separation of church and state is Nazi 101. Now, that's hilarious to say that because did you know over 90% of Nazis in Germany were Christian? It said, Gott mit uns on their belt buckle. That means God is with us. The idea that the Nazis were atheists who were promoting atheism, and that's what led to them doing what they did, not true at all. They were self-described Christians. They believed in God, and they were killing in the name of what I would argue is a state religion, which is fascism, and which is, of course, fighting for their God on earth, Hitler, as they viewed it. So the idea that, why is it that whenever Republicans think about atheism or separation of church and state, it's always Nazis! It's got to be the Nazis. Why not, I don't know, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, the entire Scandinavian region? It's actually funny because they're not officially, some of them are not officially secular states, but they have great, insanely high levels of atheism and agnosticism and secularism in terms of the personal beliefs of the people over there. We're talking 80%, probably in some cases 90% of people who just don't buy into religion anymore, don't buy into the concept of God anymore. And guess what? Those are the places in the world that, objectively speaking, if you go issue by issue, they're the best places in the world to live. Whether it's, general happiness of the population, the UN does, or the World Health Organization does a happiness measurement and test every few years. Scandinavian region is usually right on top there. Whether we're talking about how well the middle class does in these areas, how good the education system is, how good the healthcare system is, they crush everybody in these categories. And what places usually fare the worst? Be honest. Overtly religious places. Iran is not doing too well in the World Health Organization statistical areas. Same with Saudi Arabia. Okay, and hey, what will these guys always respond when you say something like that? But that's the wrong religion. We're talking about Christianity. Wonderful. Okay, so what's the most Christian places in the world? Well, other than the Vatican, Ecuador. Would you like to live in Ecuador? Very, very religious over there. Clearly you love religion, and all you need... We've heard the argument 1,000 times. All we need is a nation that believes in Jesus and believes in God, and everything will take care of itself. Well, that's Ecuador. Are they doing okay? You tell me. Guatemala, are they doing okay? How about Greece? Greece is over 99% Christian today. They have an unemployment rate of 26%, and there's open fighting in the streets between communists and fascists. And the Golden Dawn Party are a neo-Nazi party that have seats in parliament. So the idea that it's just religion, all you need is religion, absolute nonsense. And objectively speaking, the secular states are much more pleasant places to live. So stop with the absurd Nazi comparisons and how atheists are Nazis and separation of church and state is like Hitler. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but I think that's the point. It doesn't matter how much logic we use, they're going to throw it out the window either way.